Oof. Hi. I'm Karen. I think I have one other video on this channel. I tried to upload some of my artwork, but it was taking days. The 20-something minute video I have took 2 days. No, about 24 hours. So I'm going to try for smaller and smaller portions and see if I can get some content out there. If you haven't seen the previous video, you're probably looking at me and saying, what the hell is up with her teeth? And what the hell is up with my teeth? It's not from drugs. It's from a lifetime of depression, neglect, abuse, cigarettes. And I am on a spiritual journey, although I just think it's life's journey. At this point, everything is relevant. I have healed myself and I'm trying to figure out how to bring that story to the world, because I couldn't find that story out there. And I searched YouTube for people's spiritual journeys and what they found, and what I found was a lot of stuff for sale, but nothing where like a travel vlog, like your spiritual travel vlog. So this is that. This is my spiritual journey travel vlog, and I'm almost at the end of this leg, and it's really hard, and I need help, and I've been asking for help, and we're told to ask for help, but help never comes from me. People don't help me, and I have nobody and nothing but spirit, and I have to think that that's by design. I'm meant to be hungry right now. I'm meant to be in the bed that I'm in, literally. And I've been doing, my whole life I've mulled over the things that have happened to me, just in the back of my brain, just like a never-ending dryer tumbling. And tried to find meaning and understand, and it won't shut up. And I guess everybody's tired of listening to me talk about it. So I started doing like spiritual artwork, my inner child. And let me see where it's at. And I've pretty much gotten my childhood done. Well, I mean, not done. You're never done, but a lot of stuff, like a lot of stuff. But I can't seem to find the beginning and the end of what I deem the end of my childhood. And I can't seem to get the beginning. You know, a lot of us can't remember when we're little. The first thing I really remember is this. You're probably not going to know what this is, but so I just draw as best I can while I'm remembering, and I work through it, and it has helped like a lot. This is my art therapy. And I also tie it together with songs, because I work with music, and it helps me. But I can't, this is the beginning, but it's not the beginning. This is the time in my life when I was alone with my dad, and he was like a single dad. And my siblings were sent off to other people, and they had people that loved them, you know, and they had like families for years. and I was just with my dad and a babysitter, and all we really had was he would dress me up and or not dress me up, but doll me up, do my hair and my clothes, and sit me at a booth in a restaurant, and I was to be good and to smile, and it was like I was a floor sample. He was trying to catch a waitress, specifically a waitress, and I had to listen to him. I mean, it wasn't every night, but it feels like it was every night. Talk these waitresses up and my mother down, and hear every night that nobody wanted me. That's why I was still with him. And just the weight of that, you know, being alone. And that's where my memory starts. But I don't know. Even my earliest memories were about my mother being gone and my sister and brother being gone. And if I was good enough, we could get a new mommy. We could catch a new mommy, and my brother and sister could come home, you know. And it was like this fantasy. And it was like 3 years of that, and 3 years of him carousing and plotting on these women. And I didn't have any memories of my brother and sister or my mom, but I had this ache. And later on, there was a time where he would talk to me and I would wait up. I had trouble sleeping, and I would wait up for him every night because he was my everything. My dad was the only thing that I had, you know. And I would wait for him, and he would come, and he would come home drunk every night. But I thought he was working hard. I didn't really realize that he was drunk. It's really complicated, but what I'm saying is that I didn't really remember those times until I was hungry. Until I went through a time like now where I haven't had any food, and I've had like beans and rice for like a month and a half, and occasionally a hamburger to make something with the hamburger. But I needed that. I needed that hunger. I needed to remember that in that time in my life I went to bed hungry, and what that felt like. And being alone, I'm alone now, and not having anybody to call, or, you know, when you do call on people, they don't really take care of you. And I needed to remember, like this next one right here. I know you can't read it. The next one is about when he finally did catch a waitress and my brother and sister came home. She would bring home pies. She worked at a famous restaurant that had pies, and she would bring home pies, and they would put us to bed so early, and we were starving. And my brother we would wake up like at 5 a.m. and he would try to climb the cabinets and try to get pie for us to eat, and he could just get handfuls of pie. And just the realization in remembering that I waited all those years for my brother and sister, and then when they finally got there and our new mommy came, she was nothing like we thought. She was abusive. They would make us run around this fireplace, and they would stand on either side with a belt, and if we stopped, they would beat us. And I went from having my dad to myself to being hated because they saw me as the one that he favored, his favorite. And they were mad because they had families. My brother had my mother's parents, and my sister had one of my dad's co-workers and a whole family. And it wasn't until those people asked to adopt my sister, they had had her for 2 or 3 years, I don't even know how long, that he was like, no, you can't have my kid. And he snatched her back and got my stepmother, who herself, I hated her. We hated her. We tried to poison her coffee cup. Like, we hated her. We put every spice in there. We were determined to kill her. But hunger made me remember that. I remember we had a dog, and she knew that the dog was eating our food, and we would have to fight the German Shepherd for our food. And I was just always hungry, and I was alone, and life was supposed to be different. It was supposed to be this fairy tale, and it wasn't. But I say that because I haven't had a good relationship with my siblings. With my childhood, it makes sense that I didn't have a good relationship with them. But through artwork and me remembering these things and drawing them, I started getting kind of nostalgic and thinking that he would help me. Stupid me, right? So I called him. Didn't call him. I texted him today. And I explained that my husband wasn't providing food that I could eat, that the house should sell and I should have money in a couple weeks, but could he send me a pizza and some wings? And I said I would pay him back. And I almost immediately regretted it. I went in the kitchen and I found some like hash browns or something, and I ate that, and then I just felt stupid for opening myself up to him and his wife to have a topic of discussion when they have their Thanksgiving, you know, and he didn't ask if I was okay, nothing nice. And I had called him 6 months before for help, and he never answered the phone. And so finally, after like an hour, I get a text that says ETA like 12:30 or something like that. He didn't even say, of course, I love you. Do you need it? Nothing. It was just, he's sending me a fucking pizza, right? And then I felt so bad. I was like, why did you ask him for anything? You know, these people hate you. And then I get a call, and my phone never rings. My phone hasn't rung like in a year, like or more. And so I answer the phone, and it's the pizza chain calling me to let me know that somebody ordered me a pizza, but that all the Mountain Mike's pizzas in all the towns around me, that all their systems were down and that they couldn't deliver pizzas, and that they would refund the money to the person who purchased it for me when it came up. And I was so grateful. I was so grateful. I was so grateful. I was like, look at God. And then my brother texted me and told me the same thing that the person said. And I said, yeah, I know, it's okay. No, I had texted him back and said, it's fine. I'm good. I don't want anything from you, because he took so long to answer me. And I just felt so bad. I felt like shit. And I just said, it's fine. You know, thanks anyways. But he never said, are you okay? Can I do anything? Like, I love you. Nothing. And I just felt like shit. Like shit. So I had a good cry. And I thought I had gotten over like how my family treats me. But, you know, Spirit, God, he knows the truth. And there was some added trauma in there. I had to remember. I think I have a picture of this one. Yeah, and it goes right to it. I had to remember, after my brother and sister came back, going to my mother's parents who had my brother, going to their house, and it wasn't like they could just pick the one they wanted. All they wanted was my brother. They didn't want my sister and I. And just the way we were treated. And I was always traumatized. I know it's like backwards. You're not going to be able to read any of that, but they had always treated me like crap. And they treated my baby sister really good, and my brother they idolized. He had a 2-story fort in the backyard. He had like a beta machine with movies like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and Gulliver's Travels. And he had like a kit car, a pedal kit car. He had a yellow banana bike with like glitter, and it was really cool. And he had, when we went there, it was all his favorite food, what he wanted to do. We weren't allowed to do anything. And I hated being there because they made me sleep on the floor by the front door. My brother slept in bed with them. My sister slept in the canopy bed. We had this, supposedly it was for us, this frilly dream fantasy girly bedroom with a collection of like 30 or 40 dolls from around the world that we weren't allowed to touch. And I wasn't allowed to sleep in the bed. I wasn't allowed to really be in that room. I wasn't allowed to do anything. And they made me sleep on the floor. And there was another bedroom with a whole other bed. There was a giant rumpus room. There was a den. There was the living room that had a couch, a love seat, but I had to sleep on the floor, on the stoop, like in the entryway. And I would be terrified. And my sister, she would crawl out of her bed and crawl as quietly as she could. And she would come and comfort me, my little sister. And I would just be crying and scared to death. And she was such a badass. And she had to remind me of a time where I broke the rules and I went upstairs in the fort. Girls weren't allowed upstairs. We had to stay in where the kitchen was on the bottom floor, and I hated the kitchen. I didn't want to be down there. I wanted to be up, you know, seeing what I could see and hunting for treasure and being a pirate or whatever the hell he was doing up there. And I went up there and my grandfather caught me and he made me come down and he hit me. He hurt me. He hit me really hard. And my baby sister freaked out. She freaked out and she just said, "You're mean. I hate you. You hurt my sister. I want to go home, and I want to go home now." And they wouldn't let her, and they would not call my dad. They wouldn't let us go home. And so the next morning we woke up. I woke up from my spot by the front door, and my grandmother was freaking out because in the night my sister had stripped every one of those dolls and hung them by their neck all around the canopy bed. She killed every one of those dolls. They thought she was possessed by the devil. Like she was not having it. She did not give any fucks. She was like, "Fuck your dolls. I'll fuck your canopy bed. Fuck you. I want to go home now." So we went home, and we never had to go back there. Thanks to you. But through drawing that and writing that and trying to figure out how to convey that so somebody would see it and be able to understand, you know, the fort in the backyard up here and me at the doorstep and the fear of that, and my sister over here and grandparents over here, and just I had to sit back and try to, why did they treat me like that? You know, why did my grandmother treat me like that? That was her decision to do that, to put me there. And I realized that she was, you know, the goat in King Kong. Well, maybe you don't. You're probably young, but in King Kong, the old school one, they had this sacrificial like goat that they would put up, and later on it became a blonde. But I felt like I was the sacrificial goat. I was the lamb. My grandmother always claimed she didn't know what my grandfather was doing to my mom and my aunt. She always claimed that she had no idea what kind of man he was and what he had done to his daughters. The reason why my mother, one of the reasons why my mother left us, is because she wasn't equipped to handle having kids and a narcissistic, gaslighting husband that drove her insane, like like Scream, literally like the movie Scream. But by her actions in placing me by her so clearly, showing who she chose had he decided to hurt one of these kids, she picked me. She put me in the only thing worse could have been had she had me outside or in a garbage can. She was sending a message to him. If you're going to hurt one of them, hurt that one. And my sister thwarted their plans. And isn't that the way of child abusers? Like, they want to ruin your innocence. And that's what they always, well, that's what I told my daughter, is if somebody kidnaps you, pee on yourself, cuss them out, be as uninnocent as you can, because that's what they want to corrupt, is innocence. That's what they want. They don't want the little kid that's cussing you out and kicking you in the shins and spitting on you. They want the timid, shy, sweet me. So I don't believe my grandmother. She's dead now. My mother's alive. When I started this whole spiritual journey thing about 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago, I asked her permission to be able to tell my story. And my story is because of hers. And she gave me permission. But then she stopped answering my phone calls. And she wouldn't talk to me. And she just ghosted me. And it took me like a year to figure out why she did that. And then I figured out it was because she gave me permission. And while she's not going to tell me that I can't tell my story, she's not strong enough to tell it herself. And I wish I really knew it. I wish I knew it front and back for her so I could tell it to the world. But I only have bits and pieces. And it hurts my heart that I don't remember my mother. I don't remember her ever nursing me or cuddling me or playing with me. All I know are stories from my father, who loves to talk and always talked about my mom, just was obsessed with my mother. Just so I'm having a hard time finding an image for that, because when I think of my mom and my brother and sister leaving, it's just black. It's just like this actual abyss, you know, but with love there. And I don't know where that love came from, but I just had a heartbreak for them. And the weird thing is my grandmother, the same one who put me up for bait, she made sure that she told me that she used to catch my dad whispering in my ear all the time, like when I was about to go to sleep or whatever. And she said he was like hypnotizing me, that he would talk to me while I was asleep and hypnotize me. So it may very well be that I was just, you know, inconsolable and he wiped those memories. If you can do that, I wouldn't put it past him. My dad was into some weird stuff and never tired of telling stories of how he saved one of his best friends from like the Church of Satan, and in which I just don't understand, because Uncle Dave, the guy he was talking about, was just the sweetest, most loving guy. It just never matched to me. I always thought he was full of shit. But anyways, what I've found as to why my brother treats me like that is just a lifetime of why would he treat me any different? You know, in his mind, my new mom made sure everybody hated me because she saw me as my dad's favorite. And she was jealous. So she made sure that she was like, oh, well, that, you know, she always had something against me. So I look back now and I wonder why I have these fond feelings of love for these people who've never loved me, have never been kind to me or nice to me. Or why do you love people who are assholes? Really? You know? And I guess it's just because that's all I had. That's all I had. I'm not trying to out my mom or tell secrets or any of that stuff. I love my mother very much, and I've forgiven her, and I understand that she still hasn't gotten help. She never had any help, and I've helped myself. And I've broken that generational curse. I've broken depression, being in abusive relationships, addiction, and now I'm working on food issues. And I hadn't realized how abused I was with food. I really hadn't until this last month and a half of hunger. And what really got me thinking about it was I saw some interview with Jelly Roll, and it was just one of those shorts, and somebody asked him if he wanted to lose weight or whatever, and he was like, yeah, he had to, just recently he had to start wanting to live. And that really hit me. It made me cry. It hurt my feelings, I don't want him to feel like that. My first thought was, I can help. I can help. I can help. Just got to figure out how. Just got to figure out how. So I don't know what to do for the beginning, and I don't know what to do for the end when they kicked me out at 14. That was so big. I don't think that there's enough paper in the world to put that down on paper. I'll figure it out. This therapy's really working, but it's hard to deal with those images. It's really hard to face that stuff. But I'm doing it. And if you want to see why my teeth are messed up, I guess come back here. Send help if you can. If you can't, like, share, subscribe, whatever the heck, all those YouTubers. I guess I'm a YouTuber now too. Whatever they say. If nobody else loves you, I love you. And I care. That's what us Karens do. We care.